try and get through this quickly because I want to do the care plan at 1 o'clock. I'm going to do the care plan again. If there's anything you guys still want to add on there, we'll do that at 1 o'clock with Ali and with her because they missed that day. But if you want to go, because we did that already, so it's all good. So today's CHCDIS001. It is the objectives in this is contribute to skills assessment, assist with ongoing development for according to the individualized plan, learn how to support incidental learning opportunities, complete documentation, and gain understanding. So CHCDIS001 contribute to ongoing skills assessment. Yeah. No, that's legally and ethically. Why is that? Sorry, just be careful. There's legally and ethically. Just put that one. You've already got that one. That's the right one there. Confusing ourselves here. There we go.
Thanks.
You all got that one?
Yeah.
So right on the top of it, week 5. Yep, you got that? Okay, so the basics of this is, while we learned last week how to do care plans. So basically this week, we're going to be talking how to contribute, how to actually develop them, to do things that is helpful for them, their own skills. So this whole unit is different to, it's something different to personal care. This is more about their goals and how to use incidental learning and how to help people to develop new skills. So it's all the focus, all the questions that you normally would answer in the light of helping somebody to bath or daily living activities. This is slightly different because it's more about developing them as an individual to learn new things. So I'm going to start with a little video.
This right here is a photo of me when I was 14 years old. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dylan, mate, are you sure that's not Ryan Gosling? But unfortunately, no, this is a photo of me. Now, for a long time, I tried to delete this photo from my memory. And to be honest, do you blame me? Firstly, what the hell's going on in my hair there? I remember my mum's a hairdresser, and I used to sit in the front seat of her car with a tub of gel and a hairbrush. And on the way to school every day, I would sit there thinking, Dylan, you have absolutely nailed it. I still don't understand why she let me leave the car. Also, secondly, where the hell are my eyebrows? Now, unfortunately for me, I didn't grow any eyebrows until I was 17 years old. Now, I understand that I had completely no control over that, but as you can imagine, it wasn't really helping my cause, was it? I also had braces. I also had my bed in the pantry, and I was a little bit on the overweight side. And this was really the first time in my life that I was really struggling with my disability. Up until this age, I never really cared about the fact that I was in a wheelchair. Everybody was young, nobody really noticed it, and everything just went along pretty smoothly. But at this stage, things started to change. People started going to house parties. Boys started kissing girls. Girls started kissing boys. Girls started kissing girls. And occasionally, boys started kissing boys. But absolutely nobody was kissing Dylan. I can tell you that much. And it was also about that first time that I really thought about myself as being weird because I had a disability. And to be honest, that really sucked. And it had a really big effect on absolutely everything that I did. I started having a crap time at school. It really started affecting my sporting career as well. And for the first time in my life, I was really, really down on myself. And then the next year, in year 9, something happened. A mate of mine was having a house party. Now, this was a good mate of mine, a really good mate of mine. And previously, I'd never really been invited to that many house parties. And I thought, what a perfect opportunity to go to your first one. I'm absolutely going to kill it, and everybody will invite me. All the parties coming up ever since. Now, the invites for the party came out, and what do you reckon happened? I didn't get one. I didn't get an invite. And I remember thinking to myself, that is bullshit. Like, I'm actually really good friends with this guy. Like, how could I not be invited to his party? Anyway, I was sitting at home the day of the party, and I went to myself, I just really, really want to go. Now, back in the day, when you were 15, 16, it was super uncool and lame to text the person to ask if you can come to the party. The far more badass thing to do was simply turn up and jump the fence. Now, as you could imagine, jumping is not really my forte. And unless I had some kind of crane or like trampoline device, there was no way in hell I was getting over that fence. So the only way to get in was to knock at the door and go to the front. Anyway, I sat at home and I'm like, you know what, stuff it. I'm going to go, see what happens. I go to the front door, I knocked at the door, and I made answer. And he had this really weird shocked look on his face like I was there. I remember thinking to myself, like, what have I done? Like, why didn't I sit at home and play Nintendo 64 like I did every other Saturday night? Anyway, he looked at me and he said, Dill, mate, I'm so glad that you came. I just didn't know if you could get in my house because I had a couple of stairs, so I didn't invite you. I remember thinking to myself, is that it? Is that genuinely the only reason that I wasn't invited? So anyway, I went in that house party, absolutely crushed it, had an awesome time. And then I remember the next day I woke up and I was really bloody mad at myself. I was really mad at myself that I let my insecurities and my embarrassment about my disability dictate the previous year of my life. I was really mad at myself that I believed this thing, this negative stigma that having a disability makes you weird, it makes you different. And that's the only reason that people don't want to hang out with you. I'm really mad at myself that I didn't just grow a set of balls and have some confidence and talk to my friends and educate them about my disability. Now, the only reason I wasn't invited on that night wasn't because they didn't like me, but it was because I didn't tell them about my disability and that I didn't tell them that I could get up the stairs and it'll be fine. I sat at home for a whole year thinking these people didn't like me. But the only reason that they did is because they weren't that uneducated about disability. And I didn't really do anything to educate them on it. So after that night, things really changed for me. Started being more social. I started getting a lot fitter. I started going out a lot more. And I even started kissing the odd girl or two. Then after that night, I made a pact with myself. I made a pact with myself to never, ever let my disability get in the way of what I wanted to do. I made a pact with myself to not be scared of my disability, but to be rather embrace it in everything that I did. And because of that, I've been able to live a truly, incredibly awesome life. In 2008, I was lucky enough to win a gold medal at the Paralympic Games playing basketball for Australia. Wheelchair basketball, believe it or not. Now, this was incredible for me. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to go to the Paralympic Games. And the Paralympics, for anybody that doesn't know, is the pinnacle of elite sport for people with disabilities. But there's actually a lot of people who don't know the true meaning of the word Paralympic. The word's actually split in two. The Olympic part, which represents the Olympics, the pinnacle of sport, and the para part. Now, there's a common misconception that the para part actually means paraplegic or paralyzed. But this isn't the case. The para actually represents parallel, meaning the Paralympics runs parallel or alongside the Olympics. Same gold medals, same venues, same elite athletes, same time. The only difference is obviously we all have disabilities in the Paralympics. Now, this was awesome in Beijing for me. I was 17 years old at the time, so I was actually still doing my HSC or my VCE while I was over there. And to be 17 years old and sit on top of the podium with 12 of your best mates, guys that had lost limbs to cancer, other guys that had horrific accidents on their work sites and were lifted up in wheelchairs, other guys that had car crashes and never be able to walk again and lost loved ones in the process. To sit on top of that podium and so proud of what we had done, singing that national anthem with tears in our eyes, it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. It really was incredible, and it's something that I'll cherish forever. I've also got a bit of a name for myself as the dude that crowd surfs in his wheelchair at festivals. Now, I've been very lucky to travel around the world attending a bunch of different music festivals, and everybody knows me as, oh man, you're that guy that crowd surfs in his wheelchair. Now, to be honest, the first time that I ever did this was completely out of necessity, because I was sick and tired of sitting in the mosh pit and looking at all your asses all day. You don't understand how much that sucks after a while. But from the first time I did it, I was absolutely hooked. It's feeling sitting on top of that crowd in what I like to call the best seat in the house. And to be honest, it really is incredible. I think it's a really cool metaphor for people with disabilities as well. You know, what they can really do, getting out there, breaking the mold and doing what's unexpected. And on a side note, I've only fallen out once, and don't worry, I didn't get any more disabled from before, so it's all good. Now, when I reflect on my life, I think back to when, I'm really happy that I can sit here now and think that all this stuff almost didn't happen to me. I remember back when I was 14, I think of 14-year-old Dylan, and I think, you know, I had this really low expectations of myself of what I could achieve. And I let that dictate, you know, what I did in everyday life. I think back to 14-year-old Dylan, who thought of his disability as this really shitty burden that was really, really hard to overcome. I think back to 14-year-old Dylan, I think, man, I'm so lucky to be doing what I'm doing these days. I'm so glad that I could challenge my own perception about what I thought about disability. And to be honest, I can sit here in front of you all today and tell you 100% honest truth. If I ever had the chance to go back in time or eat some kind of magic pill and walk again, there's no way in hell you could ever pay me enough to do it. Because I absolutely love everything that's involved in my life, wheelchair or not, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But unfortunately, there are so many kids right across the world and all around Australia that are really struggling socially because of their disabilities. Disability remains this thing that nobody really wants to talk about. And there's still this negative stigma that having this disability is this weird, unlucky, really ugly thing. And for kids with disabilities that don't have any confidence, it's really, really hard for them to get over this and get into the world and do what they want to do. And it really restricts everything that they want to achieve. Now, there are heaps of problems in the world. Poverty, refugees, same-sex marriage, gender equality. They're all very, very important things. But when the hell do you ever hear anything about disability? Or when do you ever turn on the TV and see the first news story about somebody with a disability? Or when you turn on your TV and see a wheelchair TV presenter, a presenter in a wheelchair, or somebody with cerebral palsy in our parliament, or an actual blind actor playing a blind actor, as opposed to some bloke who's just closing his eyes. Now, I remember when I was a kid, when I was struggling, when I was 14, I just wish I could have turned on my television and seen a guy in a wheelchair achieving. Because it would have made me realise that, you know what, I could do that too. That one day could be me. I wish I had a positive role model in the media where I could have seen somebody absolutely killing it. And that would have instilled the confidence in me to get out there and do whatever I want. I think it's really important moving forward that we as a society change our perception of disability away from this idea that it's this really bad, unlucky, weird thing. And stop being so scared to talk about it. We need to realise that it's okay to have any disability. And we need to further our expectations of what people with disabilities can really do. And moving forward, I think in order to do that, we need a mainstream disability. Get people with disabilities into our mainstream media. And that will increase the visibility in a positive light. We need to make disability heaps more commonplace. And we need to start the conversation about it, which will go a long way in normalising it. And then, who knows? Maybe one day, if we can do that, these kids, like me, like I used to be, won't be going through such a tough time, but won't be embarrassed about their disability ever again. And they'll have the confidence to go out there and do whatever they want. But as a society, we really have to hope that they pick a much better haircut than that.
All right, brilliant. So I watched a movie last night. It's called Adam. It was just shot this year. So it's Adam in 2020. There's some other movies called Adam, but this one, the guy that played in Breaking Bad, Jesse, he plays the lead role in it. I love old Jesse, but anyway. It's actually a true story about a young man that had a diving accident and became a quadriplegic, and how his care worker, his nurse, got him to, face life again after he's given up. So it's a real brilliant movie, and especially being a true story, it really touched me as well. Similar to this guy, just going out there and living life again, taking hold of it. So, and I've got old Stephen Hawking's there. Sometimes we think when we work with disability, I think the common sort of myth about it is that people are stupid or that people with disability haven't got any intelligence. And that's not true. I mean, like you're saying with your son, he's actually very intelligent. Quite often kids with autism, they, can be very, very well developed in some area. I mean, I think of Stephen Hawking. He was the renowned scientist in the world. He only became he had some other muscle dystrophy disease or something that he got as a young child. He was born normal and became who who we all know him to have been through the years. But he was brilliant. He was an intellectual mind of this world, really. So intelligence is not the ability to is the ability to adapt to change. We are dealing with the person, not with the disability. So when we can look past that, the types of impairments, and again, in this course, and I'm actually busy doing that NDIS training myself because I, want to, like some people have told me about it and say it's really great to get a good understanding of, what it's showing and that. But yeah, we can't, in this course, we can't talk about every single disability that's out there. Every person is unique. It's so good when you start working with somebody to find out about the specific disability that that person has.
And I wish I had done that course years ago, because I remember I had this person come for my son, and she had a family thing on, and she ripped the computer out of the cord out of the plug, and she goes, "Get ready, we're going. I have a family thing at the movies." And she goes, "Oh, I need $50." Never gave me a receipt, never gave me any change. First time we ever had it was a company called Golden Dove, and I was going through Commonwealth Respite. And I was only thinking about that when I did the course last night, thinking, how wrong was that? No receipt, no change for that $50. Single mother, I had no money to go and buy any food or even do anything for myself. And because his behaviour is so extreme, he's always been an extreme kid. Like, if that was me, he would have pulled a knife and thrown a knife at me if I'd done that. She was just so lucky that he never
reacted to her.
Yeah.
So that's so important. I mean, I had one of my students last week. He's a screamer every time he was in the class. He's still got 2 units to go, but he's nearly done. He's an old older gentleman, and he's an old Scotsman, and he's just got the real dry sense of humor. But he was saying he's looking after somebody with Alzheimer's, and he said to me, "Did you know they only live like 5 to 7 years?" And he said, and I was busy reading about Alzheimer's, and my client was asking me, "What are you reading there?" And just tongue in the cheek, and he said, "I didn't tell him that he's only going to live 7 years." But yeah, he also sent me a few books that he's read. Every time he goes and looks after somebody, he finds out a lot about who they are. And then he sent me this one book about uh, internet book, what you call it, like a PDF book, about acquired brain injury as well. Very interesting book that he found somewhere online. So that's the idea, go and find out about your clients and find out their strengths and things. And so the social model of disability, which is that takes the blame away from the person and makes it society's problem. So the social model of disability says that it's not the person's disability that disables them, but society's attitude towards that person. So if you enable people to be a part of something, you taking a part of their disability away, by allowing them to have access and be included. So we keep talking about those things, access and inclusion, and then this term, social model of disability, where different to the social model of disability is the medical model of disability, which says that it's a disease or it's a disability, and that medically we can help them to get better. So, for example, if somebody has MS, which is multiple sclerosis, they will search for some sort of a intervention that is going to slow it down, but ultimately that person will become completely invalid. They will completely dependent, and they will be completely, lame. And what's the right word? Like completely bedfast and trapped in a chair. Where, and quite often it happens to quite young women. I have a friend, she's 35, beautiful, beautiful person, and she's got MS, and she's been flying to flew to Russia last year. They had some cell treatment, stem cell treatment there, and she came back and it slowed it down a bit. And she's working on now to go back to Israel where they do the same treatment again, because it's come back again. So it's
There's a young girl, I think, in Brisbane, someone I know, like a chemo drug they get too, is it?
yeah. So there's different methods, and they try, and that's the medical mode of disability, saying that we're trying to fix this person, we're trying to help this person, not accepting, the what the disease, the disability that the disease brings, but trying to help this person to maintain as good as they can for as long as they can. So we may also expect to carry out observations in the person's own house and shared houses, residential facilities, support groups like MADEC has got quite a few cell houses. I know they're just starting that at Phoenix as well. Endeavour, they've all got these cell houses where there's 2 or 3 more individuals living together, which is meant to be supported independent living, but really it's just to give the mums a break at the end of the day. Yeah. So, but the whole idea behind the cell houses is actually this unit, is to develop people's skills so that they can do things for as much as possible for themselves. There might be also training agencies being involved in this type of thing, I know that Jerry takes a couple of girls down to the university, and she helps them through Cert 2s and stuff. That's a real good thing to be involved, just helping your clients to actually develop a skill that they can be employable through. I don't know if I've told you about I've been thinking about this a lot, and I should actually make a pie chart about it and get real figures. But if you think about it, I know the figures out there that about 19% of Australia is disabled. So if you take another 10% of us looking after them, then that puts 29% of us out there in the pie chart. That's about a third of the population that are not contributing to society. Really, we are living off the government. And there's a lot of funds going out to NDIS. And to me, it's an alarming thing because we don't know how long it's going to last. The next government can come and say there's no money, and then that's gone. Then all our jobs is gone. So if we don't do something about it, if we don't develop our clients and we all start contributing to the economy in some way or the other, then this bottom will fall out. It's not sustainable because it's not just disability. We're also talking about health services. We're talking about social services. We're talking about education. We're talking about this type of education. You guys are all funded. All of this money comes out of our taxpayer money, but indirectly, we are not actually really contributing because it's not manufacturing, it's not commerce, it's just welfare. Ultimately, that's all it is, and it's not sustainable because a large percentage of funds under the government, which I think even add up to more than 50%. Think about aged care. Are unsustainable environments. So when we start thinking about developing people and getting them out there, like seen at Woolies a few times, you have young men working there with disabilities and they actually have a job. And they can actually earn money and they can actually look after themselves instead of being dependent on the government. And it's amazing that the government do care for their disabled. That surely is, it's recommendable and it's commendable, that they're actually doing that, where society didn't do that for many years. There was a lot of people that really, really suffered. I know earlier years, there used to be like factories where they made the disabled people work, and factories where they made pigs and, washing pigs and funny little things to, earn money and to earn a living. But there needs to be a balance, and obviously we need to try to contribute to that balance where we can get our clients to develop themselves and where we can get their skills, that something special that they've got to give, bring that to the table and then develop that and help them to develop that so that they can contribute, so that they can feel. Also, it's about their self-worth. It's not just about the economy, but about their self-worth, to actually not just about them earning money, but about them feeling valuable, about them having a purpose in grooming, eating, household tasks, all sorts of things.
I do think it is so ridiculous. Any services you go to with the NDIS, what they charge, like for physio, my son, $200 a visit. But if it was one of us going, it's $90 a visit.
But that's my exact point, is that everyone's climbed on this NDIS bandwagon and is riding NDIS because it's so lucrative at the moment. A lot of people are starting businesses solely dependent on NDIS, and it can't last. No. It's impossible.
And just,
it's impossible. You cannot.
Social worker today, psychologist, 200 and something
dollars.
But anyone else is
because they justify it because it's a bit of extra, they need a bit of extra skill or whatever understanding to maybe deal with that person. But it just doesn't, at the end of the day, it's not sustainable.
No,
that's
just,
not.
It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
$200.
So we spoke about person-centered approach in our last unit, which was the individualized plans that we made. So when we talk about person-centered approach, sorry, I sit back like this because I want you to be able to see the, I actually need my desk this way. So the person-centered approach, this physiology approach, what's the word? Philosophical, that's what I'm looking for, approach to the individual. So to find out exactly what's their strengths, what do they like, what are they really good at, and then developing that. We all have something we can do, however minor that might seem to us. Sometimes it might just be, for them to be involved in decisions that they're making in regards to life. Then just a quick on their rights. We know their rights, their confidentiality, privacy, their self-determination to do things, access and equality, and of course not to be discriminating. The client's dignity and choice, just as with aged care, with disability, their dignity and choice sits in the center of everything we do. It's what they want to do. I love, he's starting to grow on me. Don from Mackay Lifestyle Choices. He's quite a, out there type of character. I will try to get him to come and do a little bit of presentation with for you guys sometime in the future. He has his own company in disability. It's called Mackay Lifestyle Choices. Him and his wife runs, and he's an ex basketball player, American basketball player, now American as well, tall guy, dark guy,
yeah, I know him.
But he is just so full of himself. So when you first meet him, you think, well, he's so full of himself. But the one thing that I really commend him for is that he uses the NDIS funding, all goes back into his clients. And the people that are working for him are extremely happy, and the people that are his clients are extremely happy. He takes his clients to the Gold Coast for footy, and he takes them to America to go and see to go and see Graceland, and he's just out there, but he puts all the funds back. And the other day he was here and he was talking to us, and he said, and I asked him, I said, what if the client doesn't like something? What if the client doesn't want to go to a certain place? The client wants to go somewhere else. He says, what the client wants is what the client gets, which is really great, because you'll know that if you have your client going somewhere and you first have to get approval, get the funding in order, before you can do it. Where with Don, you do it and then you worry about the money, because his focus is on the client. It's on what their needs are, and their dignity and choice is. If they want to go fishing, you make it happen. You don't jump through loops for the funds first. So, And he puts all the money back into his clients. He's not lining his own pockets, which is really great. He really, and it's the same with his workers. He pays them very well as well. So he's a real good employer, and he's the ultimate one to probably want to work for if you can stomach him for a long time, because he's quite a character. So their dignity might be sometimes difficult to achieve, because sometimes there might be issues like physical issues that they when you take them out, they might soil themselves, or they might, make noise in public, or be in a place where you can't really, expose them. So you have to make that type of decisions. At the same time, you need to, they have the right to be able to go wherever they want to go and to be independent of assistance. So the line between these elements is not always very clear. So, if you have a client that really wants to go and do something, but they're not actually physically able to do it somehow, or there's some restraints or constraints there, then, how to find that balance to really give them the choice to do what they want to do.
What was his name again? Company name?
Mackay Lifestyle Choices. Yeah. One of my students that work for him, she's been working for him for 3 months. She's just bought a brand new Hyundai. Brand new $50,000 car. She's just bought herself. Put a good deposit down. 3 months down the road. Lots of hours as well. And he's got over 100 clients now. So how to, one way, obviously, ask, listen, and tell. When you want your client to do something, do you want to do this? No, you don't. Yes, I do. It's just as simple as that. Always ask. Support engagement of family and carers and other people in the skills assessment, trying to figure out, because we're going to go in now and try to figure out who they are, what do they like. That's this exercise here. And that's going to be part of the care plan, but it's like an underlining thing on the care plan. It's the skills, and we're trying to figure that out. And how do we get to that? By asking the family, maybe occupational therapists, they're very good, and helping us with maybe extra iPads or programs on iPads that they specifically develop for that person to communicate, or some other aids that they might be beneficial. The occupational therapist, the physiotherapist, they're really good in helping us to figure those things out. Outreach workers, program staff, relative supervisors, teachers. If you have a client that has just finished school, he's 23, 24, it's sometimes beneficial to go back to the school, to the special school where they've been for 10, 15 years, and go and talk to the teachers and ask them, how do I communicate with this person? What did you do? Because sometimes this information is not always carried over. And because a lot of people, quite often, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but quite often there's parents involved and they are overworked. They're at a place where they're now tired and they can't go anymore. Then they hand them over to us, and they just do relief that there's somebody else to help. And the information are lost in that transit, because to them, it's not anymore about trying to get this person to go anywhere or do anything. It's just like, I need a break now, I'm tired. And we have understanding for that. We've got grown-up kids that are teenagers that, we think, oh, can't I just take you into a room and shoot you, lock the door and never see you again, And I mean, think about these poor moms that had disabled children all their lives, and now they're 25 and they've been so dependent. They've been so demanding. And yeah, so this information sometimes is lost, and we might have to go back and try finding it, trying to figure out how to help them and how to develop that. How may we engage them? they might be able to tell us, some of our clients may be able to tell us. Um, but we must be careful when, of course, when we involve the family, because sometimes the family might have their own agenda. They might have their own idea why they want this to happen. So that's the other consideration there. It's the client ultimately that decides on their skills and their development plan where possible. The family, regardless of the level of support, not the family, regardless of the level of support. So myself as a mum, I'm also a very force to be reckoned with. As a mum, I will go, all the way. I think we all are in a way like that. Our kids are kids. So sometimes we will do things. I was just watching another show on Stan about a lady whose daughter got involved in a cult. She was in movies. I think she played in Dallas or something in the 80s and stuff. And how she actually, by the time she decided to go all the way, she went all the way and she got her daughter out of the cult. And she really went all the way. She exposed them. She went to the newspapers and to the TV and everything. I did the same with my son. I went all the way. I went, put it on the floor if it's in your way. I went to the PMs. I went to the newspaper. I went, I had articles written. Saw this shadow health minister. I made a big noise that there's not enough rehabs in Mackay. I made a massive noise. Yeah, and you know what? My son got, a month later, he got a place in the rehab. And I know it's because I made such a noise, because he kept asking, wanting to, I need help. And it get, for years now, it's just been swept under the carpet until I met Ross, which was one of my students, and he was an ex, what you call it, counselor, junior counselor at the council. And he said to me, why don't you, because we had a suicide prevention and a drug support course with one of the other, and Sue might be able to do that for you guys as well, because they have to pay these people extra, but you've got the funding in your program. And when this guy came in and we were talking together with this guy in the group about that type of support, we said, but there's no rehabs in Mackay. And then Ross said, but why don't we write a petition? And we did, and it went, and he knew how to submit the petition, and that was the first step. So for years, nothing happened. So sometimes, I don't want to disregard a mum, because a mum can be your most valuable asset. It's the same in aged care. If
As long as she's on your team.
as long as she's on your team, and in aged care, quite often we, as nurses, we see things that the clients need, and we go, the client needs this, and then the company goes, oh, you just want to make your life easier, that's why you say that. The best success you have is by getting the family involved and say to the family, you tell management that mum needs that. And then the minute you can get that done, then you already step ahead. Your back sore?
On my hip, yeah.
Yeah.
It took my friend Kelly 20 years in court to get her son funding. 20 years. She finally got it last year.
And it's what Tari said to me a few years ago. She said, I won't look for trouble with you because you'll take me to court. And you're damn right I will.
Is that with the NDIS? Yeah. Well, I don't know how I got it, because with disability, I don't even know how that happened. Probably with these people, Sandy Winner, and that helped me. But yeah, he somehow ended up with disability because he finished school early. And then they called me one day and said, oh, you got to sign this form for 20,000 funding. I didn't know what it was for. And then the next year NDIS came in and it just rolled over.
Yeah.
And everyone says it's so hard to get, so I don't know.
Yeah, it took her 20 years in court to fight for it. She finally got it last year. So she got the 600,000 a year.
But it changes each year.
It changes, yeah.
Depending on your needs, yeah.
So hers will go down now because she's moved to the sunny coast and he's now back at home. He's not actually in his own house anymore.
Yeah.
But he still has the funding for his day outings.
It's 24/7.
Oh yeah, 24/7 care, and he's high care. So I feel sorry for my friend, like he's 24 this year and she does not get
A day off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so my son's 24, he's 25 in January, but, yeah, he doesn't really care like that. He's,
Bailey has had 24
Yeah,
kids, isn't he? Yeah.
But the thing is, I think sometimes if you have the right doctor, that's a key. You have the right teacher. You just need a teacher. My husband, when he was classed as a retard, and he was until year 5, he was in the D stream in class. He was stupid, and in the stupid class. And until a teacher came in and said, but this child is highly intelligent and he's got dyslexia.
that's what my youngest son's got, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to get that sorted.
Help. Oh, it can be impossible. I had that same fight with my son.
Yeah.
But luckily, I don't know how my husband's teacher did that, and they sent him to into a course. It was called Alpha Davis. I've looked for it. Believe me, it's not. I think it probably doesn't exist anymore. They sent him to this, and it was a 6-month course. His mum sent him there, and must have been occupational therapists and physiotherapists that ran this program, and they taught him how to read and write. He writes very slowly, and he always thinks about every letter he writes. He still doesn't read properly, and you have to tell him to go and read again. But he's taught himself. And I think some of the things, as he can remember, because it was only year 5 when it happened, was they actually stuck his eye closed and forced him to use the other eye, and some other things, some other exercises. I tried. My youngest son is dyslexic, and I've tried through the years, because I homeschooled him as well, but tried all sorts of things, and I've searched everywhere for all sorts of programs, never been successful with it. He's just learned to deal with it. It's just gone.
I tried even homeschooling this year and like the last 2.5 years, and he just ended up getting too violent, so I just gave up.
Yeah, they can get very frustrated.
Yeah.
The phone is an amazing thing. I tell you,
Looking at you.
you you use the voice text to voice thing to get them to type things. It's brilliant. Get them to read the question, get them to type it, learn how to voice text it to themselves, and that way they can fill their assessments in without trouble. My son you should see some of his SMSs like last year, until he's discovered, and I kept telling him, use your voice to texting, and it's been brilliant. And he's now thinking about going to university because he can actually type a message with, he's also 24 this year.
Oh, this other one, he's 16.
Yeah, my older one is the one that is actually, he's autistic and he's got the drug problem, but he's self-medicated because of the
that's autistic, and then we've got another
one that's got dyslexia. Yeah, so you have to find ways to help parents and don't discard the mom. I think the mom, and years ago, I had a good friend. She was a nurse, RN, and she was my children's prenatal nurse. And the one thing she always said to me was, the mum is always right, and I've learned to listen to a mum. The mum is the most important person when you work with your clients, because they will tell you things. They've got an intuition. And if they tell you something's wrong, then all bells should go on.
Pity,
No, exactly. And that's what, for her as an RN, that was one thing that she also taught the doctors, because doctors also don't listen to mums. Yeah, and when you go, there was a child the other day had a fall, one of my students actually. He had a fall and slight off the stairs on a Queenslander, took him to the base, said to them something's wrong. They didn't listen. 5-year-old, I think he is. And the next morning when he woke up, he was paralyzed. He had a brain bleed, and he's now down in Brisbane in the hospital. He's had little strokes and things. He's had a brain bleed. Didn't listen to the mum. You shout at your loudest, but listen to mums. They, they do say to the course sometimes, but I think if it's family member. If you look after older people, when it's children, it's not quite the same dynamic.
But you're
Sometimes
gonna
they,
call, Brian's law now, aren't you?
yeah,
And they have to listen to you.
yeah.
But I've told him twice that Dad, I mean, I've told him a number of times about Dad's strokes because I know the signs of him living with me. We've been sent home twice with strokes, and then we've gone back again, and the stroke nurse said, "Oh, you know, he's had those strokes." And I'm like, "I told the doctors," and they've just sent us
They
home.
don't listen.
No. And
It's horrendous. Mackay Base Hospital is horrendous at this stage, I think. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, I've heard some horror stories lately. So engaging people. So if they don't respond, obviously that's when we also talk to the family and get insight about them. Record all observations. So quite often when we do assessments, it's in process. So you recording everything very detailed helps, but there are little programs, and if you go and search on internet and stuff, I've looked at skills assessment programs as well. Quite often it comes up for children. Behavior assessments is the same. So when you do assessments with them, so where you record every day, hour by hour, certain little things, then you can pick up for example, with behaviors, if something happens after a certain event or after they've had something specific to eat, or, you know, and that way you can get a very good picture. And usually if you have a very good occupational therapist, they will have some sort of a program where they get you to record things in their skills development. Now, most companies like Ideal Placements, they will just go out and say, you know, to them it's a massive success if you take somebody to Canelands and they get to order their own drink and you've written that down, then they've got that box ticked. But isn't that just play, you know? Let's be real here and be serious about what we're doing. We're not going to just go to Canelands and sit there. And that's the one thing Don hates. He hates this play story of people sitting around shopping malls with their disabled people drilling and, you know, I mean, what's on with that anyways?
I won't put my kids in family.
Why do that? You know, I mean, honestly, really, just to tick the box, you socialize. There's better ways of socializing than going to sit in Canelands, unless of course that's what the client wants, then that's what you do. But you know, seriously, just have a bit of imagination.
I saw my friend across the road. She likes to do the chicken dance with her clients because they love it. And then the other workers get up her because the clients like to do the chicken dance and they don't want to do it. And then she gets in trouble for doing it.
Oh.
So stupid, huh?
Yeah, so I don't know what.
Yeah, so just keep recording. The thing is, like I say quite often to a lot of my students, and you guys are a different dynamic again because you all have sort of connection already with disability, which makes it a bit of a different dynamic. But I get some students in here, young, well, our age as well, ladies that come in here, especially from the job providers that are getting pushed to now find jobs. And they think, oh, they can get a job easily by doing this course. Then they come in here very idealistic. And then I think there's an answer for everything, you know, and, you know, what do you do if this is the case? Or what do you, and that's not really how it works. There isn't an answer, or there isn't always a solution. Yeah, there's not always a solution to every problem, you know. So when you go out there and you go and care for people, you're going to find that there's a lot of people doing things in a lot of different ways. And especially us being a bunch of women together, there's also a lot of bitches out there. Valerie's picked up on this thing, bitch. Now she calls her grandpa bitch. Every time he doesn't listen to me, she goes to him, you bitch. Anyway, I said to her yesterday, bitch is actually a female dog, Valerie. You can't call your grandpa that. But my point is that when you go out there and you do see people doing something or they complain about something that is not right, just sort of observe for the first 3 months. It's no use you stir the waters from day one, you know, just idealistically, my teacher said that this is the way we do it. It's, you know, be realistic. We're working with people, and sometimes people have worked with that client for 10, 15 years, and you come in as a new person to care for that person, and you come in with all the idealistic ideas and you say, let's do it this way. This is the way the teacher said we should do. And then you know, walk yourself into a wall. Although what they are doing are probably not right. And although quite often what they are doing are causing more problems than what it's actually giving answers. Yeah. Or they get familiar with the client, or they too rigid, you know, they like do a certain way, and then this client's got all these behaviors. You come in as a fresh person and you look at this and you say, well, obviously these behaviors are caused because you wake him up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, and then we'll have somebody say, yeah, but if we don't wake him up, he sleeps until 10, and then, you know, but you can save yourself so much effort by actually, you know, maybe just adjusting, you know, maybe just give a little bit instead of bumping heads with your client. Let's find ways of accommodating the situation without getting into a situation where we have behaviors of concern. So yeah, sometimes we come in and we say, well, it's what the client wants, you know, and then they go, no, it's not, it's what we want, you know. So it's but we take our time, and quite often it's good to just keep your head down, write it down, and slowly teach them. So, you know, I tried that yesterday and it really went very well. You should really try that, you know, write it down. I've tried with the client today. We tried this, and the outcome was really very positive, you know, and the client responded very well to this. And that way somebody might pick up on that and think, oh, okay. And then like before long, everyone starts doing it like that. I've seen that at Good Shepherd Lodge. When I first started here, we they were very rigid. The old people sat there, they didn't speak a word, like you were saying with your dad. They didn't say a word because firstly, they don't understand 90% of the staff because we're all foreigners. We come in there with our accents and they can't understand us. So they sit there like the whole day. There's no joy, there's no laughter, there's nothing. It's just sad, you know, and they don't understand, and they get treated like a sack of potatoes. You get some of these girls going in there like, you know, I've worked with some Nepalese, the one Nepalese woman, she's so rough, you know, like, throw the whole, I said, just be more gentle. This person is flesh and blood, you know, just be kind and caring, you know, just, you can't. And, but it took about 4 years of constantly saying. The other thing they used to do when a client buzzed the buzzer and they go, want a cup of tea? No, you have to wait. It's not tea time now. And then walk away. When I worked in the UK, we started this, you know, it was part of, not started it, they were already doing it. And I came into this type of quality standards there. What the client was what the client got. And if the client wanted a cup of tea and I'd say that, no, you have to wait, I would get fired. Oh, yeah. I'd take the buzzer away from the client, I'd get fired. And I was told that much. Yeah, I walked into Good Shepherd so many times at night time, the nurses would just go and take the buzzer away from the client because they buzzed too many times, you know. And eventually, slowly but surely, with bits and pieces and them getting glued up, I kept saying the same thing, saying it wasn't just me that started changing them. It was, you know, obviously the care system also picked up on that. But saying things like, if the client buzzes 20 times, perhaps we should just pause and give them what they want the first time. Then we don't have to go back another 19 times, you know. Just spend a little bit more time with the client and make them happy in the first place. You know, yeah, it just makes sense, you know. You just take your time, and I was all over and over. I used to say the same thing, never got angry with anyone. So if you just take 5 minutes later, I promise you, 5 minutes longer, I promise you, she won't buzz again, you know.
I was getting cranky with Dad when he wouldn't shower when I wanted to. I went and had a chat to him because Dad said something to me. And so I just went and had a chat to him and said, look, maybe if he doesn't want to go every day, maybe every second day, and we'll find out a time he wants to go, and that'll solve it. So and they said, okay, because I mean,
yeah.
Do they have time for that though? Because they've got to get all their showers done.
But you know what? that's the same argument we had.
Yeah,
That's the exact same argument we had. It's actually less skin off your back to not shower them when what it is to shower them.
Yeah.
So why fight with them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is a bait bath or a little wash down at the basin
Because he's got
is
this thing, he tries to
effective.
sneak into the shower on his own. He
Yeah.
doesn't want people to shower.
Yeah. So that's so they need to understand that and get to that place where, okay, well, let him go in by himself and just stand outside the door. You
Yeah,
know,
you
give
shower
him that
yourself.
time.
Yeah, he can.
Set him.
And then another one said, well, if you can shower yourself, what are you doing in here?
Oh, no, it's shocking. But, you know, slowly, I've worked a German lady I worked with, she was also very rigid. And I slowly just took her and slowly but explained to her, you're actually making your own life easier by, you know, adjusting to the client. You can't treat every person the same. You just can't. You have to learn how to, you know, speak, you know, adjust to who they are and what they want.
It's just a bit slippery. That's
Yeah.
what I'm worried about.
Yeah. So, well, you can get some slippery anti-slip glue. You can smear on the floor. You get some a tin of what you call it. It's like glue them there. But you get a tin of paint that you can paint on that makes the floor not slip. Yeah.
Yeah, anti-slip stuff.
Anti-slip.
Not to make them slip, I thought about making the nurses slip.
Oh, no. Look, they're really nice there. It's just, I don't know which one I got cranky, but when I was in there the other day, I overheard them saying some old woman told them to go and get.
Yeah, but
there was this lady, she dressed really nice, and I thought, oh, she looks really nice the first day. I went to sit at the table, she goes, men don't sit at this table, they sit over there. And I think she's one that pulled the windows out to have a smoke.
Is she a worker or a person that lives there?
She lives there, but she's always so nicely put together. But you don't mess with them.
Yeah, they can get all sorts kinds
She
of.
doesn't look like she's old enough to even live there.
Dementia, it's probably have dementia. Yeah. So being accurate and objective, it's our main characteristic. I always say we have to have all these hats on. They say just care worker, but we have to have so many hats on. You have to be first responder. You have to be investigator. You have to be social worker. You have to be the priest sometimes, you know. You have so many roles you have to play in looking after these people. So, and observing what their needs is because they constantly, human beings change all the time. You know, what was okay yesterday might not be okay today anymore. So there's constant change. Contribute to feedback. Feedback is really important. And that's why a lot of companies these days are always hammering on about feedback. But feedback, and we have to listen to feedback. Sometimes people say it's okay, but, and they'll say something small. And we have to be able to pick up in that observation, like, okay, well, that's the area. And then try to be better or try to, you know, meet that need, that little, because sometimes people are shy or worried to say, you know, like, I don't really want to complain because you girls are all fantastic, but there's maybe, you know, that could be better. Yeah. So demonstrating the skill in different environment and changes in the person's status are likely to impact their skills development. So in life skills, vocational skills, social skills, we looked at that life living with on this life on the spectrum. That's just a brilliant demonstration of how to develop their social skills. You know, that is brilliant because if we start applying that to our clients, even in a little ways or parts of it, if you take your client out and how to greet somebody, you know, and why should you greet somebody and why should you consider them and why should you ask them, how are you, or, you know?
You know that lady that goes to their house and talks about the steps of, you know, communication and going on a date and stuff like that. What do you think she would have studied
So she's
to
probably an
be able to-
occupational therapist, I'd say. There's a group called DB Mass that works for Dementia Australia, and it's some sort of a Cert 4. It would be Cert 4 in community access, or you probably could do that through diversional therapy as well, which is the social sciences, where you do uh, uh, psychology and sociology as some of your subjects, so you can understand, just have, yeah, because that is a really, I love that too. I love that kind of like investigator type thing, find out where this person is at, and then try to develop something that is tailor-made for that person to, you know, but you can already start applying some of those things in, you know, your, but yeah, that is
I feel that that's where I'm going. I want to be able
to work as a behavior scientist, you know, and counseling, having a counseling, a diploma in counseling might be very helpful as well. I mean, you can develop any program, you can tailor for yourself anyways. If you do behavioral counseling and you do individualized support, and then you specialize in relationship counseling, and then apply that to your individualized support or working with people with disability, could be a way to do that as well. Very interesting way, because she goes out to their houses, and then she sits with them before they go out. You know, if you have somebody with autism, and then she says, she makes little drawings on her book, and then she says to them, if you go out, you're going to talk about things, and then she makes little cartoons that you like. And then she says, what do you like? And then they would say, oh, I like my video games. Then she says, well, you need to ask them, because you want to keep the conversation going. You can't have just this little man here talking to himself. This little man here needs to be able to respond. And then she teaches them through little cartoons that when they go out, and how to keep the conversation going, and how to be social, in replying, well, I like this too. And when he responds like that, how would you keep the conversation going? And ask them again. You can't just talk about yourself. So she does it little baby steps, and then they go out and they practice these little skills. But those are very valuable, even in ordering something at the counter, or, you know, taking them to any event or any place really, wherever they're going to be meeting anyone, in how to greet somebody and how to be recognized as a human being, you know, because quite often they're quiet and they don't say anything because people don't interact with them, and people feel insecure to interact with them. But if they can build up the courage, when most of them are not shy, to say, you know, hello, my name is Don. Okay, well, you know, yeah, why are you here? What is wrong with you? Like you say, your son would say, oh, you're stupid because, you know, but developing these things, perhaps develop social skills, maintaining relationships, including intimate relationships, maintaining health, their physical health, including sexual health, and then of course their safety. Safety is a big thing as well, because quite often they don't understand the safety concepts.
Oh no,
And
it's the danger. Like I worry about my son. That's why I stopped working.
But you see, that's the exact point I was going to say. Quite often us as mums protect them from that. And then when they go out and we are fed up at 24, 25, 27, and the care workers come in, they have to teach them about safety, because we protected them. We prevented them from getting hurt, you know. My husband's terrible. When my kids were small, they were not even allowed on a bicycle sometimes.
Oh no, not that part of safety. I'm worried for other people.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like he's not normal that way. If someone threw something at his car, so he jumped in the car and chased him with a shovel, and someone ran over his foot, a friend, and so he doesn't do normal things. He grabbed a big fish hook and chased him, and so I don't want him to work because I don't know what his reaction would be.
Yeah. But that is also a type of safety training. It's like as what he can, develop the understanding of things, and you need to just try to tap in some way using the same principle that you apply in learning new things about 1,000 years ago, the principle to maybe use his interest to make him understand what will happen if you react like that. And then by constantly teaching him, eventually you might get some breakthroughs. Using something like all the dinosaurs was destroyed by because their necks were too tall and or whatever,
He was
or
really
reacted
born in the
in
wrong century, really.
yeah.
He should have been a
Can
caveman
Can
or.
you do one day work? I know with my nephew, he did Tuesdays at Stella Rossa at the drive-through for 1 hour. If he'd been there longer, yeah, probably would have clocked someone too because he's aggressive.
Yeah.
But 1 day a week for 1 hour gave him an amazing experience.
Yeah,
Like,
just that sense of
Lisa
achievement.
And, Lisa's daughter and I went through his second day, and we went and we ordered not McFlurry.
See, he'd be great looking after people because he's completely different. Like, he's done the course and like he'll wipe his grandfather's, yeah, take him to the toilet. He cares for.
It's just spurts, maybe an hour or 2 hours.
And he's great with my cousin's foster daughter. Like, she's 6 and she'll just tell you to go and get F. And,
But there is rules with the care workers and with the healthcare workers code of conduct. So people with disabilities, and especially people with behavioral disabilities, cannot really work in the industry because, again, the same principle that they can at any time. And because we have a lot of clients that are reactive as it is, whether it's people with younger people with disability or older people with dementia, if they react, then how would he react?
That's why I put him on attention now, because for everyone's safety.
Yeah.
And I put a thing in, like, we've always been with the police, like, flagged, so when I need to call them, that they come. And so I've always got a safe plan in place.
Yeah.
I've had one for years. And so that's, everyone always says, why doesn't he work? Well, it's a safety thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you be able to get funding where a carer is looking after him for the day to go and do work?
He refuses to have a carer.
Because there's always a carer available.
Yeah, but they can be in the distance. They can be undercover.
Yeah. He just refuses to have one. So he's right at home by himself. Like, Jaden's there too. Jaden's bigger than him. Jaden just will drop him to the ground, but I don't want that. I live sometimes, I don't want that. But they're in.
And you can't look after him for the rest of his life.
No.
You're okay for now still because you're still young, but can you imagine yourself in 20 years' time? And he'll be a 40-year-old man, and then where you're going to be, So somewhere along the line, we have to let go.
Yeah.
We can't look after them for the rest of their lives. And this is where you need to try to develop his skills or get people in to help you develop his skills so that, when you were a 70-year-old woman,
That's what I said to him.
Yeah.
Put me in a nursing home because I'll be punched.
Yeah.
Well, like,
Yeah.
you were saying you're single, do you want to be single for the rest of your life and never be able to travel, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
He's still only young. Like, there's a young lad in town, his name's Ryan. Anyway, Ryan is nearly blind and deaf. He has carers, and his parents, his mother, single mum, she's started up a business. So they've got the little rubbish bins, and they've gone along to all the offices, and they put their cans in there, so he collects the money from that. He has his own courier business. So he's there, but so is his carer. Of course, they've got to drive. Then on top of that, he also has job maintenance,
Oh, okay.
So his mother is so concerned that she's going to pass away and what's going to happen to her son. So she's already setting him up in his own businesses. So he's always got something. And he's got brothers as well. But They're busy working too.
And if you already have the NDIS funding
Yeah.
and to correctly apply it, I mean, you just need to find the right company you
Yeah.
work through. And I would probably suggest Mackay Lifestyle
That's what,
Choices
yeah,
as a
thinking
very
about
good
that.
option. Although Don doesn't like people with difficulties. He likes people that wants to be social and want to do social activities. He's very social orientated. He's not so much on skills development. He's not as hot as on that. There's other companies coming up and upcoming companies that are a bit more focused on that. But definitely, I would say this would be ideal, and this is probably something you could develop. And you as a mom can develop yourself, even to get to that place where you find his niche. You know, you find where is his place
He
going to
wants to
be,
develop
and where does he
games, isn't
go.
And like he's always been a tester.
Yeah, I'm on the same way.
Yeah,
with
see, he's
you.
always been a tester, and now, and he couldn't do it for a while because his computer stopped. But now he's got his computer up and running. He can start testing games again.
But it could help. There's, go.
There's a program, isn't there? Yeah.
New ideal placements
Yeah.
are trying to start. They were getting the numbers together,
Yeah.
and it's
18 to
website.
25s,
Yeah.
I got it here.
Search-free
Yeah, give it.
website and developing websites and things
Yeah,
like that.
okay.
It's so
And
good.
it's live.
Thanks.
Get them into that, and it's live, and they talk to the people.
Oh, he's the
Yeah.
wrong age.
How old are they?
He's 24.
Oh.
What is the age?
Cut out at 22.
19.
19.
Oh.
Thanks.
No, but you know what? He will probably qualify because he's got NDIS.
Yeah, I reckon
Okay,
I would
so
stick on
Yeah.
it.
Thanks.
Only because even there's another course that they've got going on and it's for 50 or something, but they're allowing Ivy to sign up even though she's 49.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna go there today anyway.
And the other thing is with ideal placements, if they take your NDIS package over, they can put because there will be carers there,
Okay.
and he might not know they're carers,
Okay. Yeah.
you know, and you could even work for them, and they might not know, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like an undercover type thing. He might not know that there's carers around, people that know all about behaviors and to look out how things develop, and they will help him to develop. And they're all about, you know, finding placement, work placement, and getting youngsters,
Yeah.
you know, so which is really great. So this is exactly what this course is about, is developing somebody like that and getting that person to not be a burden to the mum for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
You know, I met a few years ago, we went camping one weekend, and there was a young man that was Down syndrome, and his mum and dad was there camping, and they were so elderly. You know, he had his own little tent down the bottom. And he was already in his 40s and something. But this old boy and this old girl must have been near 80. And all they did was they were nomads. They were just going around with their Down syndrome son. What happens to him if they die?
Yeah.
You know?
I heard an ABC program on the radio one time, and it's a big concern.
Yeah.
It's a really big concern to so many people. It had me in tears. Like, it's really upsetting for people.
It
It's
is.
such a worry.
It is a worry. I mean, and you can't, you know, we can't be there to protect them and protect others for the rest of their lives. And that's exactly it. That's what we are working. That's where we come in, you know. That's the place where we are wanted. Like your type of clients, that's the type of clients we do look after. Not always. You might get somebody that's a paraplegic that you look after, or somebody that's, you know, got MS, or there's different disabilities, but the majority of our work is autism. The majority of the people we are looking after.
And this, what I find hard is dementia. Watching someone you've known your whole life, like your father, and just seeing what dementia does. It's
Oh, it's
terrible.
devastating.
And like when I took him to the optometrist this year, he'd say like a letter, but then he was saying lots of numbers instead of letters. And I'm looking at the optometrist, and I rang the dementia lady up, Di, And she goes, it can be normal for some dementia to say numbers instead of letters.
You got your plate full, girl. Gee,
Especially when
whiskers.
he was living with me for all those.
Oh, man alive.
It's-
So some changes
I'm
Some
sorry
changes
on
that are likely to impact our skills development is our clients' priorities might change. I mean, somebody might move, the mum might get tired. Some active clients might need more support, and so in these cases, just like with our care plans, a review doesn't have to wait for a review date to come. You know, we can review a plan as often as it needs to be reviewed. And we can call for a review. Maybe we're not the ones who sit there and physically actually review the plan, but we call for the review. We say, look, this has changed. Please, can you do something about it? So, yeah, there might be any changes. Chapter 2, encourage the person. So this is assisting with ongoing skills development to encourage the person with disability to engage and as actively as possible in all activities provided with information, skills, and support to do so. We all need to be part of a community, even them, and to have good relationship with our friends and family. If a person cannot gain these factors alone, they'll need some support. Lifestyle changes, employment, education changes, life arrangements. These cell homes that they're setting up all over the place now, where they call independent living, and they can match him with another person that he will be able to gel with. So if he's in independent living, he doesn't necessarily have to go in there with another male. He can go in with a young female that's maybe autistic and needy. And as his character is to care, it might give him purpose to be a part of something like that. He's there to care for her, but indirectly they're both cared for, you know? So that might be something that might be ideal, you know, if you start thinking about things like that. So it's not always your burden, you know. Um, and healthcare, of course, people do. And again, when we talk about aged care, it's a different ball game. When people are older, they decline. When we have young people, we're still busy developing them, we're pushing them up. But with older people, we expect that they have more needs. You know, we expect that healthcare might play a role for them. So, and just talking to people, what things do they like to do, whether they do enough of the things they like, whether they still enjoy the activities they are doing, and so on. What information? I'm not spending too much time on all my slides because we are running out of time. It's already 12.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
So what frustrated me with Bailey, and I can say Bailey now because he's not here, he's 23 and it's tantrums. It's tantrums, and it didn't take me long to work out is because my friend who I love dearly, his mum, Kelly, she gave him what he wanted because she couldn't deal with the tantrums. Now he's 23, going on 24, he's huge, a big boy, and that's where his aggressiveness comes because he's not getting what he wants. So there's a knife, he'll try and stab you, throw a rock at you, hit you, corner you.
And it's not just not allowing him to do something, it's like because he's got dietary needs. So he can't always be eating ice cream or hot chips or things like that. Like it's for his own good. It's not just her, just not letting him do something.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he'll do things like, okay, you haven't let him do something he wanted yesterday. So in the morning he'll be right at you and tell you, I've stuck drawing pins up my bum. And it's 5:30 in the morning and you got, oh my God, you got to go fishing for these drawing pins that he may have or may not have stuck up his bum.
Wow.
All because it's a tantrum. And I love my friend and I understand that she has given it to him because she needs a bloody break. and her husband works in the mine, so she's got him all the time. But it makes it hard for the carers.
Was what the same sort of thing with my grandson. Michael and I now been he's going to be his carers or his guardians if anything should happen to her.
Yeah.
And I said to her the other day, well, you might want to rethink that. I said, because what just happened with him then, that he wanted something and you weren't quite firm enough. I said he would have got a smack on the bum from me,
Yeah.
and told that behaviour is not acceptable.
Yeah.
I said, and it's hard work, and it's the same with any kid.
Yeah.
If they don't know their boundaries at an early age, you've got no hope.
I had the exact problem last night. Valerie didn't want to go and watch the program I put on my TV for her to go and watch. She wanted my phone. Because she wants to choose what she wants to watch. She's only 3, and I said, no, you can't have my phone. She had my phone while we were eating because she's got this thing while she's eating, and how spoiled they are. They need something to watch. So I said, okay, while we're eating, because I don't want her to eat in my room, to eating or sitting just watching like building houses or something together. And so she's watching something on my phone, and then I took the phone from her and she kicked me. It was so hard. She just kicked me right here, and it was so sore. And I said to her, you go to your room. That's just not on, And I sent her to her room, and then she was in her room crying a little crazy cry. And then she started kicking the wall. Now, luckily, I stay in a Queenslander, and the walls are made from hardboard, not plaster. If it was plaster, it was so hard. She kicked so hard. So her grandpa went in there because her dad does the same thing. He goes, he smashed the wall when you say no, because I've also given in to him all his life. And he made us sit in the corner, and I just realized that same thing, we need to stop this now. We need to nip it in the bud now. Otherwise she lands up like her dad, smashing walls and fixing things around him all his life because he can't get what he wants. And the minute you say no, they don't want to hear.
No.
Sounds
You
like
do
now
it when they're younger.
3, yeah.
When they're younger, and you are consistent with it, and it might be hard work when they're younger. It's a lot of consistency and it's hard work. But by golly, it's easier when they're older.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But then the thing is that the same scenario, when you have more than one person caring, and that's the same when you're caring for people who you are caring for and their parents were there, or, there's more than one carer. That's the same scenario. We do struggle with this thing. And again, this is one of those things, there's no real answer for it. There isn't, because, I have Sari in her life, and she has her way of caring for her, and she's okay. She's not a bad mom, but, she's not as attentive. She's not as there because she's too young to really be attentive and really be, strict enough to be who, Her dad is much better with it, but he's not in the picture,
She's been doing it on her own.
So she's been actually looking after herself until we came into the picture. So now I come in and I'm more strict, and we have these sparks flying. But it's the same scenario.
Yeah.
It's exactly, and when a person is 25, it's not so pretty.
No.
It's not so nice. And they do come at you with objects when you don't say.
Even if they're not autistic or don't have any disabilities, it's
teaching you right and wrong.
and discipline, and
Manners
you
and
can't
respect.
do these things, and there are consequences for behaviour.
But you know what? It isn't constant teaching. I think we all get into, that's the other hat we put on, is teachers.
Yes.
And not only teaching the people we're looking after, but teaching the other carers.
Yes.
And teaching the mothers and teaching them.
Yeah.
Ali was saying now empowerment is the word she says is stuck in her head. She messaged it. And that's it, empowering people, even the care workers we work with, through finding the way of communicating with people so they don't take offense at your advice and they don't take offense at you trying to teach them something, you know, finding you know, there's ways and ways of coming in with the mum, alongside the mum, saying, well, I understand where you've been at, understand how it's, you know, you've been alone all this time, you've done your best, you've done a great job, but I think it's time we all come on the same page and we try something different. It hasn't worked until now this way, so let's try something different. And you know, and then these things like having what do they call it? Yeah, like having a session together with the family where you shoot ideas of each other, you know, like a mind, what do they call it? Mind. Yeah, so we shoot, you make a little circle, put a word in the middle of the circle. What is our game? Empowerment. How are we going to work from there? You shoot a word, you shoot a word, and we have a team. The whole thing is that you do need, without any doubt, is a team to work with you, whether he likes it or not. So take hands somewhere, whether it's ideal placements or another care worker, takes, you know, and with NDIS and having that bit of support on the side is get that team and get somebody to walk with you and then shoot off ideas. And that's the word, Ali, I'm looking for, brainstorming.
And giving them choices.
And giving them choices, yeah.
Food time is such a fun time.
Yeah, well, Kelly rang me up the other day and Bailey got on the phone and he said, Auntie, I'm hungry. And I said, well, what's the time? He said 4:30. I said, well, you know, dinner's not till 5. He said, but I'm hungry now. And I said, okay, go away and decide whether you're going to have a banana or a carrot. And then 15 minutes later, he came back and I said, what'd you have? And he goes, oh, a banana. I wasn't bloody having a carrot. I said, well, now you've got 15 minutes till dinner.
Yeah.
So it's just choices.
Choices, yeah. So using their strengths is where we start developing it, you know, looking at their strengths. And sometimes it takes a bit of time to sit there and, you know, finding their strengths. He's good at computers. He's good at this. So let's go and look. What programs is, and you know, sometimes you'll be surprised at how much is out there. You know, we would, yesterday we went swimming at the Ocean International Hotel, and it's open for the public. You can go swim there. And we had a fantastic, nice little exercise. We decide from now on every day we can, and after you've had a swim, you can go and have a drink, you know, have a cool drink or order a plate of chips. It's there. There's so many.
So you don't have to pay.
No.
Or something like
Yeah, and you know, there's so many resources around, not just that, in Mackay and around town that we just need to start tapping into, you know. But by finding people's strengths, then that gives you a direction on which way to go, and you can build on their skills. You can, you know, build on their emotional intelligence, because that emotional intelligence is what helps you to make it safer for everyone, because that is what's going to help him to understand where he's at. There's courses, you know, that what is that group in the center of town here? It's a youth group that mental
YB something.
Not Headspace.
Headspace.
Oh, Headspace.
They've got a program for young men or young people in managing their aggressions. You know, they run a little program. They've got a psychologist there that run a little program.
You have to get him to ring up to make an appointment.
Yeah.
It was too complicated.
Yeah, but mental health is helpful also. You'd be able to tap into mental health. You just need to find the right person with mental health. I've been screaming and shouting with mental health for years. I know that, Joel. But there is people at the mental health that are very helpful. So in the different areas of...
We've seen someone through the NDIS.
Yeah.
She's really nice, Rebecca.
Yeah, you just need to find the right person, yeah.
Yeah, no, he actually goes and talks to Rebecca on his own, which he's never talked to one on his own before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essential life skills, vocational skills, social skills. Remember, we all have an intelligence, and all our intelligence are just different, you know. It's just, some of us are linguistically intelligent. Other people are social intelligent. You know, other people are emotional intelligent. Other people are good with maths. What's that one? Mathematically.
Mathematical.
Mathematical. There's about 11 or 12 different intelligences.
I don't know what mine is.
Yeah. So just finding that what patience, I would say, yeah, that's
You know,
definitely
my
one.
youngest son was so well behaved. He never had cheer-old tantrums or nothing. But boy, when he got to high school, he was good at first, but they never followed his learning plan from primary school like they were supposed to. Then he just like changed like that. But didn't he make up for it?
Hormones change them too, though. Strength-based support is the non-verbal communication, where we learn to develop other skills and through their strengths. The social model of disability is just that, finding, you know, how we should change to support them. Person-centered support, giving them the rightful place. He's got a place in the community. Every one of them has a place in the community, however minute it might be, you know. And I said this last week for my one group as well, and they're like, oh, I'm pro-life, and I say this early, and then you might hear me say it a lot. But if you think about it, you talk to the mums of these kids that are disabled, and you ask them if they knew that their kid was going to be disabled when they grew up, would they have aborted that child? Or even if they were pregnant with that child and doctors gave them the opportunity, what was their choice then? And I don't know, but this is just my opinion. People that are you know, strong on abortion are not people that's ever made that decision or have to make that decision. I'm not walking in anyone else's shoes, so I can't say, you know, a 16-year-old making that decision. I'm not going to judge her. That's hard. But I'm just thinking that the value that you subscribe to your child and who they are with disabled child, I'm talking specifically disabled person, the value you subscribe as a mother to that child, that the rest of the world should subscribe that same value to that person. You know, not like the medical professionals already devalues life before they were born by saying this person's going to be disabled, let's abort them. You know, but finding their rightful place in the world and giving them, and you know, seeing them as an individual that has been created for who they are and develop them for who they are, you know, giving them that opportunity. Encourage and assist this person to identify their personal strengths. Again, solution focused therapy, that's a type of therapy. You can go Google that. Strength-based case management. Narratives, just by eliminating some things. Maybe sometimes you can't pinpoint it, but then you can go get a whole list and say, well, this is not it, this is not it, this is not it, until whatever's left. And then, you know, you've sort of worked it out like that. And identifying resources to complement. So areas, you know, advocate for them. Social networking, newspapers, go and look for the support. For our clients, we need to sometimes go out, go the extra mile and, you know, make suggestions. I know we can't change care plans, and I know we don't have it within our power to always bring to the table what the clients need, even though we see it. But we should never stop shouting for it. You know, sometimes we have to just shout louder. That's just how it is. I know so many times looking after old people that there's been situations where I feel that my clients or our clients needed that, or, you know, there's something wrong with them, and we kept saying, well, can you please tell the doctor to do this, and nothing's done, and we keep asking until eventually they see our point and they get there. Sometimes it takes a while, but the whole thing is that we as AINs or care workers, we're the ones that's that first point of contact. We're that person that knows them the best at the end, other than their mum or, you know, their family. So we're the ones that have to advocate for them and shout for them and say, well, this person will really do well in this. And we keep shouting until somebody hears us, somebody who's got the power to change that. Yeah, so there's other resources we can use. Ongoing development and application of skills or personal development. It's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of the same every time. Really, a lot of this just going around, but the principles are there, and we've spoken about most of the principles. And finding the support, utilizing available support that might be out there, encouraging. Encouragement is a big part of our job, you know, constantly to come on, you know, you can do it, let's do it, let's try doing better, you know. Feedback, prioritize, that's another way of dealing with it, you know, putting what is the most important thing for you right now, you know, what would you like to achieve today? And your what do they call them, facilitators, or what do they call, supervisors, like quite often will kind of set some goals.
House manager.
Yeah, house managers, they'll set some goals, and sometimes people can be a part of that process of getting the goals set. But then in setting those goals, and that would be like little steps at a time, especially with the cell houses, there's little steps at a time. Let's try to get them to catch the bus.
Yeah.
You know, let's try to get them to pay for their own meal. And you build on that slowly. You know, it's something, it takes time, you know. Now, Ideal Placements, I was there the one day making up parcels for my previous group, and the care workers all came in there with a group of Celeste guys. They're all in the ages between 14, maybe a bit younger, and 18, a little group of young men and women. And they catch the bus to Canelands, and they were at Canelands, and then the support workers made them decide or read the bus table and decide when to, you know, they meant to catch the bus home, and they read it wrong. So they landed up at the Goosebumps instead of at, so they had to walk all the way back. The poor care workers were dragging behind them, but they had to go through that exercise to make them realize if you don't read the bus table correctly, this is what's going to happen, you know. So there's sometimes we burden with them. And yeah, like you were just saying, I mean, I'm realizing that with Valerie, I have to come to the place now where we're going to have to be, you know, and I told her mum last night, this can't keep happening. We can't keep giving in to her. We need to start, yeah, absolutely. We need to start working on that now.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
Bombard them with, you know,
yeah.
set of rules.
No, just slowly, yeah. When grandma says no, it's no, that's it, you know. Yeah.
As long as they know their consequences,
Yeah, and reinforcement, that's that, yeah. Yeah.
From you guys.
Consistency, and that's the same thing we have to do when we go out. And that's a challenge as well, because there's other people involved. You know, you might be doing the right thing, and I've heard some care workers that has been here training, saying that they've had clients, and some of the clients, especially at Phoenix, there's some really hard clients there, where they have behaviors because of diets, you know, and then you get your care workers come in, and then they lapse back in this thing, oh, he's on a diet, but he wants to go and get Macca's, and then, you know, and then Macca's cause issues, like they're still awake 3 o'clock in the morning because they had a sloshy at 7 o'clock at night, you know, so much calories in there. So what do they do with all that energy? Yes, you can have Macca's, but we're going to go for a 2-kilometer run after that to get rid of all that energy. So yeah, you cannot, you know, have the one without the other. As I do that already with Valerie in the evening when we go to bed. I say to her, It's the bottle or the iPad.
Yeah.
Or it's the bottle or the TV, you
Yeah.
know? Which one do you want? A bit of TV. I said, fine, and you don't get the bottle.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
Yeah.
She knows already. Then she'll say, okay, Grandma, I have the bottle. And she has the bottle and I've switched it, the devices off. You know, you can't go to sleep while watching.
No.
It's not going to happen, you know. So you sort of make little steps where you make this bargaining. And I've heard this, a lot of my students saying, the one thing they've learned in this class, and I've learned this, you know, is how to deal with our children better. Honestly, a lot. I mean, I'm much better with Valerie than what I was with my sons because I was a very strict, rigid mom, you know, and you see that when you go out in the community. And again, we don't want to be ageist.
No.
We don't want to subscribe to the thing that like disabled people are like children or elderly people are like children. Not at all. We're just saying that some of the behaviors and some of the learning developments are the same process,
Yeah.
you know, or similar
Just dealing
process,
with
you
like a
know.
child, like,
Yeah.
Mm.
And we prompting, we reinforce, we motivate, demotivate us.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do that, you know, and that's the
It's
reason.
dangerous to climb that cliff edge.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you just, yeah, some things you just
And
can't do.
like you said before, you know, you go into the house and you just sort of shut your mouth and sort of get a feel. There's one care worker and I look, because as soon as I get there, I look at the notes. And every time she writes in this book, it's like she's telling us all off. And she gets a highlight and she highlights everything. She's had mashed potatoes 2 days in a row, highlight, you know, and it's like, Jesus, the woman's 35 years old. If she wants to have potato and mash, you know, why can't she have potato and mash? You look through what she's had to eat during the day, but she just wants mashed potato at night because she doesn't have teeth. What is wrong with that?
Yeah.
Why go in and highlight it like you're
Yeah,
telling us
you
off?
can't, you know, and I say this a lot, and you go behind my back, you go to Good Shepherd Lodge. I'm not blowing my trumpet.
Yeah.
I get along with everyone.
Yeah.
And everyone knows that I have, you know, don't want to say rules or, you know, I've got a high standard of care. Everyone knows that. But I get along with everyone because I don't judge people.
Yeah.
And I go alongside and I try to say, well, we're a team. And if you can't do it, I'm here. You know, we in this together. It's not, you know, and it is absolutely, and again, it's the same principle that we had in individualized support, is that principle of our duty of care going against the client's choice and you know, what they want. And the same principle comes through this. Sometimes the clients want things that are not good for them. And sometimes we have to find ways of convincing them or steering them away or distracting them if it's really bad. But sometimes we have to give in
Yeah, and
and saying, you know, that's their duty of choice still in the middle there.
Yeah.
You know, dignity of choice. It's still their choice. And we're just there to support them, you know, and it's not about us. So we're there to work together. We're in it together.
Which one's the Good Shepherd?
They've got 2 homes. They've got one at Carousel Gardens and one down McIntyre Street.
Is that not near where Kentucky is?
South? No. That's Blue Case
Oh,
Home, I
okay.
think. Yeah. So and it's also in teamwork and feedback to each other. It's just the way we do things, you know. I get along with some really difficult people because I have a gift to talk to people in explaining things without being patronizing, without being condescending. You know, you can come in and say anything to anyone at any time if you have the right attitude. If it's really about who they are and what you want to be there for them. It's not about who you are and what you want, you know. And it's the same with our children. And I'm not successful with everything. I'm like fail at my children, I feel I have failed in big ways. And I feel like I fail at my granddaughter some days. I fail with my husband. I fail with my teachers, of my students. You know, we all have our strengths. We have our good days. We have our bad days. We only can do our best, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's all about evaluating, look at the best way, how can we develop them? And it's about that incidental learning opportunities. When we go to the shop, we teach them, you know, we've only got $50 and you've got this whole list. Maybe we shouldn't buy that because we don't have enough money. Maybe you should just add up what we're buying while we, you know, putting things into the basket. In the UK, it was easy because everything was a pound. So if you had 30 things in your basket, it was 30 pounds. So it's quite nifty. Or it's always round. It's like either £1 or £2, 1.99. So you got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it's easy. But yeah, so count the things, you know, and that's an incidental learning opportunity for them to do maths.
Yeah.
To add up, have you got enough money? You know, when you pack shelves or you're packing the fridge, you're cleaning the fridge out, and you know, incidental learning that, so, oh, you know, did you see there's an expiry date here? And then suddenly they will start seeing expiry dates on everything, you know, because you've shown them, and they've learned something. Learning to do the bus timetable, learning to work the washing machine, you know, just, oh, come on, show you quickly. This washing machine is really cool. If you press this button, it goes, oh no. And, you know, just make it playful, make it fun, and use those opportunities to teach them. And then you see also where their strengths are. They might surprise you. While you're adding up, you're saying, well, add up all your grocery sets, see, you know, how much it costs. We come to the till and they tell you exactly the right amount, and they didn't have a calculator. And guess what? You just found out.
Yeah, they're good at maths.
They're good at maths. You go, wow, okay, cool, you know, and go and look, oh, is there somewhere opportunity for this person to develop this? What could they do with that? You know, how can we better that? How can we use that? You know, if you see they start like expiry dates, how can we develop that? Oh, maybe he can go pack shelves.
That's right.
You know, because they can read this and they've just developed something, and you've just picked up on it and you've developed it, and you know, work at that. And that's how we discover that. That's how we build on that, is by finding something small and then seeing, well, what's the opportunities around this, you know, this little scenario that you can develop. Sorry, a lot of these things are just repeating themselves. Discussing any difficulties, experiences in implementing. Yeah, of course, there's going to be problems. There's going to be issues while we're doing it. There's going to be mountains we have to climb to get over it, situations we have to do. It recommends that the in-person-centered planning can be conducted when creating support plans. It states that planning should be individual, self-directed by the person. Consider the role of the family to have control over their own life, to maximize their choice, and to tailor and be flexible. That's really what it is, you know.
Sometimes they get sick of you too.
Yeah,
They really do.
yeah. And I mean, it's like nagging, really. It's like a mom nagging. Monitor strategies when we've put these strategies in place and we've done something, whether it's effective, whether it's working or not, you know, and not to be stuck in it or be rigid on it. Oh, well, we've done this, now we have to stick with it. We don't. It's, you know, just phone the supervisor and say it's not working anymore. I saw that with dementia as well. What works this week, next week, it doesn't. So we have to constantly change, you know. But yeah, that level of engagement, how much are they involved? How much can we, maybe even levels of an engagement could be developed slowly, you know, how get, like that the other day was Valerie. I said to go and clean your room, and she messes the rooms, everything. So and no, it's too much. And Grandpa comes, he says, go and clean your room. And no, I said, no, let's do it different. I said, just go pick up all your shoes. So only have to pick up all your shoes and you can have ice cream. And so she came in, she picked up all the shoes, and then when said, okay, now we quickly pick up and I took one thing at a time, and she ended up picking up everything before she got the ice cream, but she forgot that I say just. Luckily, but I got her. But later on, she probably will get glued up on me, you know, say, you said just shoes. So, that's it. But that level of and you know, the same principle again applies. It's just take a little step. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but as we say, set them up for success. Even with older people, if I set them up at the basin and I want them to brush their teeth and wash their face and maybe even shave themselves, we go to the basin, get to the basin, I put the toothpaste on the toothbrush. You know, I don't get them saying, oh, now come, let's brush your teeth, and just leave them at that. Because most likely they'll put the face cream on the toothbrush, you know, especially dementia. Pseudo cream.
Somebody that used toothpaste, thinking it was aerosol.
Yeah, or body lotion. I've had that come out of the room. I've just put this toothpaste all over her face. But that's setting them up is like take them there and put the toothpaste on the toothbrush and then say, now brush your teeth. And you show them. And then you set them up and success. They've done it themselves, you know, or wash your face and you've warmed the face cloth up and you've put it in their hand, wash your face. So that way, that's how you set people up with dementia, one step at a time, but setting people up as well at home. Set them up little bits at a time and develop it slowly, and that level of engagement will grow. And you keep monitoring how you're growing, and keep reviewing, and provide encouragement in real life situations as potential information, as incidental learning opportunities, as we already said. These incidental learning can take place in any place. It can be at any time. We're going to go down to Serena for the day. Serena is 30 kilometers away. We're driving 100 kilometers an hour. How long will it take us to get there? You know, play little games. And while you're driving, you know, what's that bird? And, you know, get them involved, just like, again, like we would do with our kids, you know, and we getting them involved. And this is outside the normal experiences. So the impact of this is that it's a natural way of learning, you know, and they're actually developing some amazing skills through that. Once these competencies have been developed, the theory is that it can be applied in other environments. Like I said, if you've suddenly found out that they're actually quite good at math, you can find a way of maybe finding them a job or a course or something to develop that area. Then there's informal learning opportunities. This is opportunities that arise through conversation. We might sit around, you know, we're watching a movie, or you specifically go and choose movies. There's some really good movies that if you just, that's why I like sharing interesting movies that I've watched, because that is to me informal learning. You'll go and watch
Love on the Spectrum.
Love on the Spectrum. You must watch that. It's on Netflix. Have you watched it? No, you must really watch it. It's very interesting. But again, like that, Adam.
There isn't enough of them.
There isn't enough of them.
Before I was ready.
Yeah, and I was a bit disappointed at the outcome, really, that not more of them got hooked up, kind of thing, you know.
The girl that she didn't think there was anything wrong with her, and she kept telling her mum off for trying
Oh,
to set
go
her
away.
up.
Like, calm down.
Calm down.
Calm down.
Oh,
Yeah.
What happened to
She's
her?
so funny.
She kept me
Oh, I think, no.
She
No.
didn't find anyone at her level.
Yeah.
She went on many dates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing that they're not all.
Keep up conversation with her.
There's another good movie. I'll Google the name. I need to remember to Google it. It's on Stan, and this it's about one of the singers from the Beach Boys. He had autism, and he was treated by his psychologist as an older person. So just Lisa, just Google that quickly there if you can.
Yeah, sure.
Something it says Stan movie about the Beach Boy autism. That put that in the search. So this he's actually adult, and in the movie it's a true story. He had autism, and that's how he developed that beautiful music in the Beach Boys. You know how they have all those little sounds in the background. So because he's autistic, whenever people would eat with knives and forks, that all the sound would like set him off, and he didn't want to go tour with his brothers anymore.
Love and Mercy.
Love and Mercy. Yeah, watch that. It's
Yeah, Love and
brilliant.
Yeah.
He
Ryan Wilson.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. So he makes this beautiful music. He hears all the sounds, and he's really like challenging producers and musicians to make this amazing music. His brothers, of course, don't get him half of the time. But anyway, later on in his life, he meets this lady that's a car salesman, and he gets into the car and he passes a note to say to her that he's being watched. And automatically you think he's just being paranoid or schizophrenic or something. But anyway, she gets it. And she gets into a relationship with him, but he's actually been exploited by his psychiatrist. Gets drugged and exploited because he was a BG or a beach boy, and he, really well-known band and a lot of money and stuff. But anyway, she helps him in the whole situation. You should really go watch it. It's very good understanding again of autism and how people actually exploit them also, if in that situation.
There's a few actors
Yeah.
there that have autism and dyslexia.
Yeah.
There's quite a few actors. And males.
Males, yeah, it's quite common
Well,
in
that's
that.
what I
Yeah.
learned as well with Love on the Spectrum is that it's made up like the legislation, or not legislation, that's probably not the right word, but the statistics have only been made up for boys.
Yeah.
And not girls.
It's harder
To
to
detect the
determine
girl.
Yeah.
a lot later on.
Yeah, much harder, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we have to think about, like Ali was saying, think outside of the box. Absolutely, all the time we have to. And use positive approaches and strategies, and at the end, I'm a real great advocate for having fun when you go and look after your clients, whether it's in an aged care facility or whether it's in have fun. You need to have fun.
They love fun.
If you enjoy what you're doing, they will enjoy being with you.
Yeah.
And that is the key, and while you're learning new things, you have fun. And withdraw support. Stand back. That Adam, his care worker that comes because he's completely paralyzed. He's a quadriplegic. And she says to him, here's a plank, because he couldn't even hold the fork to eat. She gives him the plank to transfer himself. And he puts it onto the bath because at some stage he gets stuck in the bath because his dad and his brother wanted to get him out, and he chased them away. So this care worker comes. She's like, I don't know, from Russia or somewhere. She's got a real thick accent. And she stands there. She said, you transfer yourself. And he's on this plank, and his hands is all funny like this. I don't know how he does it. He's like a real good actor as well, acting the whole. And he gets the plank there onto the bath, and he's trying to transfer himself, but his upper body's not strong enough. She just stands there. She doesn't. He says, I'm going to fall. He falls halfway over the side. She just stands. She's not like, he's going to fall. And he gets it right. Withdrawing support is another key thing we have to learn to do. Step back and give them the opportunity to do what they have to do.
There's a borderline there between helping them and neglecting them too.
Yeah.
There is a borderline.
But if you're there, you're not neglecting, So the thing is that if they fall, they have to get up again. You're there to help them.
Yeah.
But while you're there and withdrawing support and letting them and they fall, you're there to help them. Then next time you're not there and he has to go, he can go because
They know.
he's
they can
learned.
know.
Yeah.
Like
He's then, yeah.
Bailey's initiation to his carers was the bath and showering. Yeah. And he can damn well do it himself.
Yeah.
Even calmed me. He's
Yeah.
like, I can't get out of the bath. And then his sister said to me, he can too. So next time he said, come out of the bath. I said, you're getting yourself out. I don't want a bath now.
Yeah.
Because you scammed me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I let her go.
No, that's all
I'll
right.
go do my medical.
You keep going.
Wednesday, my place.
Yeah. Oh, your place, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine. You
yeah.
better send me.
Yeah, 5 Broadway Street.
I got it, I can get that down.
Okay, cool.
So
All
you
right.
want to,
Ali, you need to just get this number from these girls later before you go. I'll send it to you.
Okay, is this for Friday?
For, no,
5 Broga.
for Friday, 5 broker.
No,
Broga.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
For Wednesday, Ali.
For Wednesday. What time Wednesday?
9.
9.
9. Okay,
All right.
all right. Thank you.
And then not to forget, the most important part of our job is to write it down. If we did not write it down,
It didn't happen.
it
That's
didn't.
it. Yeah.
So keep maintaining documentation. It's very important. And through the documentation, we can go back and assess the level of engagement. We can go back and assess whether what we've done has been successful, however minute it might be. If we keep going back, we can see also if there's been a lack of interest, or, you know, if somebody kept refusing to do something, then you think, well, why are they keep refusing? Maybe they really don't like that. Maybe we should change the strategy. And it's not just for us, it's also for other healthcare professionals.
Yeah.
The doctor coming in, the physio, the other people coming in and then seeing that. And report, we always report to our supervisor at all times. And just something really important,
Oh yeah, that's supposed to say straight, not
I do speak about this a lot, but I have recently had a student, and I told you this morning about her going to the client's home and massaging her hands, and then she's bruised. So something I can't probably stretch enough is that whatever's on the care plan, we have to keep a year to until it's changed. If we encourage, and especially if it's somebody like a frail person or a person that's bedfast, that don't have their own, that cannot set their own pace or set their own care requirements, we have to stick with that very, very rigidly until it's changed. If we see there's something that needs to change, we can phone and contribute to it being changed. But other than that, it is our Bible. That's what we stick with. If on their care plan they say that this person needs to be bathed and showered, then that's all we do for them. You know, in this case where she went in and thought she'd done better by doing something more, by massaging the person, she's actually not being helpful. She's actually, you know, harming the person. So we do have to be careful in always following the care plan. And unfortunately, we can't always rely on the other carers to tell us the right thing. Like in her case, the care worker did probably not even know herself, you know. Yeah, she's out there in blue care. So there's a lot of new people and they probably didn't know they didn't know themselves. So we have to go back to the care plan, stick with that. It's all fair and fine to want to do great things for clients or to want to develop things for them, but it's a slow process.
And it's a physiotherapist that normally does the massage there.
Yes, and most of the other things, occupational therapists are the ones that are going to set up goals for our clients as well. Our managers and our supervisors are going to set up the goals. We can observe and write down and say, this client did accidentally today do really well in this little process. something small that's within our care plan, and then suggests that maybe this could lead to something more, but we can't go and implement those things off our back. It has to first go through the program. It is a bit of a militant environment that we work in. There is a lot of levels, and our level of support are the close contact, are the ones that sees the thing, but we always have our responsibility to our care supervisors. I always say, as aged care worker, we are AINs, as assistant in nursing. Our first responsibility is always to the nurse.
You know what a nurse said to me in hospital when Dad was in last time? Like, his hearing aids were on beside his bed, and I'm saying, Dad, put your hearing aids in. And she goes, oh, I just thought he was arrogant. Meanwhile, he's got dementia and he's got really bad hearing loss because he didn't answer it. That's not very nice. That's not something. Yeah, like, that's something we can't do. So a nurse shouldn't be able to just assume that he's arrogant.
No, that's some people. It's shocking, actually, some of the things that goes on. And you try something like that or say something like that, you'll get fired. Yeah. So, but our first responsibility is to our supervisor. They are the ones that have the authority to change things. So we make them look better anyways by nagging at them and telling them all sorts of little things, and they can change things, but it has to go through the process. We can't change things. We can't go run off and do things. If you work for somebody like Don, he might say, you go do it, but you still have to call him and say to him, is it okay if we changed it, And then he'll say, yeah, of course, whatever the client wants, the client gets, that will be his response. But another place, you'll have to jump through a whole lot of loops before you can actually change something. So although you may have observed some things, just remember, your supervisor is still the person that you go to before actually anything gets changed. You can just learn to document things very, really professionally by making encouragements or subtly making suggestions, obviously not highlighting them and, writing them in capital letters, but saying, well, I've done this and this, this client operated the washing machine and he was really good at, even setting the time on this oven to bake, and he set the alarm for how long the meal must be. Sometimes you have to stand back and he might burn the food because it stays in too long or it's in too short and it's not cooked yet, and then I have to sort of learn about that. But you can say, well, he's been really good today. He managed to cook his own food by putting it in the oven and keeping an eye on the time, and and subtly say, oh, he seems to have a real knack for keeping time, or and subtly you put things like that every time it happens. And then when there's an opportunity for you to get together, and you might have done some research and read about it, and then say, you know what, I think you will really benefit with doing this too, or going to work there, and then you drop those ideas, but you cannot implement that. We are restrained to what we can do. We can't just go and change things. We have to okay that. And that's within our workplace policies and procedures. That's acting within that, Our scope of practice will be determined by our company's policies, what they decide what we're allowed to do and not to do. Like at the hospital, we're not allowed to do personal care if we work there as AINs or as care workers. Where at home, you're allowed to do that, So it all depends on the company. And these are also the legal requirements. Being subjected to our supervisors is not only a company policy and procedure, it's also something that protects us legally, so we don't get sued if we step out of our boundaries. And of course, their confidentiality, privacy laws, and responsibilities. Okay, sorry, I've rushed through this quite a bit. Yeah. I'm just gonna pause this.